Coach Joe.
How are you doing, Rob?
Good. For those listening, welcome to our sportscast. I don't know what we're really going to call this yet, Coach. I really don't. But we'll call it the sportscast of Denver sports right now. It's a working title with Coach Joe and Rob. Today, the Broncos have made a move for Trey Lance. The best position in sports, the backup QB. That's Stidham. Is he putting Wilson in the hot seat? Coach Prime debuts against the Horned Frogs. Fantasy football loser punishments. What's the worst you ever heard of, Coach? Will we get into that? Are the Rockies on pace for losing 100 games? Maybe if you lose your fantasy football league, you should have to go play for the Rockies. I might do.
Or just go to a game.
Go to a game. Yeah, maybe that's the punishment there. We're talking all things Denver sports. But first, Coach, I want to hear about your thoughts on preseason game 3 and who are your dudes.
That was pretty awesome, to be honest with you. It was kind of fun to actually put some points on the board.
41-0. Let's take it, Kroenke. Take that.
I'm happy with that. It's like it was kind of fun to watch us roll down the field. You know what struck me the most in that game was for the first time in a long time, we actually had a quarterback that could go back, sit in the pocket, survey the field, go through his progressions, and make a pass.
Wilson did great. Stidham did great that game.
Yes, he was amazing. But he had time to do it, is what I'm saying. And it's nothing against Russell Wilson or anything like that, because I haven't seen a Broncos quarterback do that in a long time.
Absolutely. I think it is something against Wilson from you. That's what I'm hearing. Maybe it's passive aggressive. I don't know, Coach. Maybe you're they're wondering. I get it. Now, if you were okay, we just played the Rockies, and since the Rockies and the Penner group, they do have relations. They're family connected, and they both have Denver connections. Even if it's a preseason game, if you're you're Penner there, are you afterwards like writing a note, like a handwritten note, like, "Hey Stan, here's a bag of ice. Sorry for the beating we gave you. No hard feelings, but only kinda. Hopefully to see you in the Super Bowl. Sincerely, Penner."
I don't think so. I think the Penners are still trying to figure this whole thing out. But
you wouldn't do like a trash talk letter.
I wouldn't. No, I don't think they do. Who knows what they're also busy making billions of dollars. Who knows how much they even know each other anymore? If they
know each other.
Do they have a family reunion every year?
Yeah, probably somewhere we probably can't even afford to talk about.
Yeah.
So, but going back to game 3, you got your dudes. What's your qualification for a dude when it's a coach's dude? When it's Coach Joe's dude? Hey, speaking of your dudes, Jordan Smith says hi. One of your former dudes.
Yeah, Jordan was awesome. What a great kid. Dudes are this. They're gamers. They make the great play. They make the 3rd and 10 throw or catch. They make a block that springs a guy. They run across the field to tackle a guy that's running away from them. Those are dudes. Those are guys that you can look at and say, we can win with those type of guys, those type of character guys, those type of effort guys. And when I look at that game the other night, I really like Stidham. I thought he did a good job. I know it's against the 2s and 3s. I get it, but bottom line is he went in and did his job against the 2s and 3s, right? And he did a good job doing it. Gave you some confidence that we have a good backup quarterback.
So you're saying Stidham is
a dude. So that's what you call me.
Yeah, he was a dude. Yeah, he was a dude. You have to say catching the ball and getting open. Albert O was.
Yeah.
Blocking, Albert O wasn't. So I can't put him in the dude category.
Can you imagine like writing your resume for Albert O? If you're Albert O, it's like, hey, it's like, what's the key responsibility? The key would not in there, but I can catch the ball and run really well.
Yeah, he needs to lose about 20 and just become a wide receiver.
Right,
is what he needs to do. McLaughlin, the running back dude, big time dude. So I liked what I saw. I thought the guys played hard. I like looking at those little things. I thought our offensive line, I'm going to give every single offensive lineman a dude category.
I guess when you win by 41 points, there's a lot of dudes.
They were awesome. And then the last one, and I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again this week, was the Saunders kid, the middle linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
That kid can play, man. I'm telling you, that kid's a player. He can read the quarterback's eyes. He can pursue downhill on run plays. He gets there, and he's got some piss and vinegar in him when he gets there, and he can run. He's got some height. He's a problem for tight ends and stuff. That was a great draft pick, I think.
Absolutely. So then what's the opposite of a dude? Like if you have like a coach's dude, there's got to be the other side of the pendulum as well.
Well, for me,
who's your anti-dude, and what do you call it? Like
the anti-dude? Yeah, the anti-dude is called a donkey.
Okay.
And they're the ones who don't give you the effort. They're the ones who you can't count on to make a play. They're the ones that you don't want in that type of, in a situation when it's 4th and 1 and you need to get a yard to get a first down to keep the drive going. You don't want them in the game. I'll give you an example of an old donkey, and I kind of liked him as a player, to be honest with you. But now I'm drawing a blank his name. The running back last year played for the Chargers and the Broncos.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. He was a donkey because you couldn't count on him because he was going to fumble, or every time you handed him the ball, you're like, oh my God, what's he going to do? And so guys like that, I think they're good players and everything, but they got to be able to come through in the clutch. That's, to me, a dude is a guy that can do it in the clutch.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense.
Donkeys can't.
Are donkeys just like second and third quarter guys?
Not necessarily, because you could have those guys who are hustlers and they bust their butt all around the field and everything, but they're just not quite talented enough. I think donkeys are guys who have great talent. I'll go back. I'll throw this one at you. Do you think Jay Cutler?
Jake Plummer?
No. Okay, let's compare those two. Jake Plummer and Jay. What do you think?
Jake Plummer's a dude.
He's a dude. Okay.
Jay Cutler, I think, got organizationally screwed.
Okay. I think he was a donkey.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think he was like the stereotypical quarterback. He had a cannon for an arm, but he got screwed over by the coaching here in Denver by getting forced on people that whenever, like any organization, like if someone, like you're running a sales org, Joe, and someone goes, hey, you got to take this Rob kid on. You're like, I don't like him. His work ethic's not where I want. He doesn't. Good luck, Joe. Here he is. Well, yeah. I said I didn't want him. It's like, so that's actually a good lead in what we're going to talk about next. The backup quarterback.
Greatest job in the NFL.
Best position in sports. Do the Broncos have one? Could they have been in the QB development market and maybe have made a move for Trey Lance? We'll talk about that here coming up. But first, I want to talk to you about Capital Financial. What's your backup plan for retirement? Do you have a plan for retirement? We want to thank America's Wealth, Financial, and Income Coach, Coach B. DeRuda, the founding partner in Capital Financial. If you're earning and you're nearing retirement and you just have some questions on your future retirement income, reach out to Coach Pete and his team at Capital Financial. Coach, they gave us a text line. Text VIP to 600-700. Yes, it's only 6 digits. Text VIP to 600-700. Say, and get connected with Coach Pete and his team, or you just more window hunting, need some help there. Just go to retirementhelpcenter.com for free retirement information for you as well there, or text VIP to 600-700. Yes, it's only 6 digits to get connected with Coach Pete and his team at Capital Financial. So the best position in sports, the backup QB, Stidham. Is he putting Wilson in the hot seat, Coach?
No, nor should he. I think he's right where he needs to be. I think it's an upgrade from last year. I I still believe in Russell Wilson. Give him some time. Give him some plays that's going to work for his skill set.
Are you part of the threes group, the RW3s or whatever they call themselves, like threes?
I'm not a part of that, no, but I am. I hear him get ripped on a lot about his positivity and the way he says things and everything else. And I'm like, why would you rip on somebody that's just trying to be positive in the world? He had a bad year. They all had a bad year. It was a freak show last year. I don't know if anybody would have had a good year last year. But I'm telling you, with the coach they have now, with the quarterback, the coach they have now, with the discipline that they have now, the culture they have now, I think he's going to be a lot better. And I think you're going to see that in the first game. I think they've been holding back a lot with their offense in the preseason. I think they have a lot more to show. And I think that's going to come out in the first game. And I think it's going to be a pretty good offense this year. I really feel good about it. And I feel good with him leading the way.
You know what I feel good about, Coach? I feel good about Coach Sean Payton.
I do too.
I don't feel good about Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I think he'll be okay. Here's what just happened is they brought Sean Payton in. And you know what he is? It's like Russell Wilson moved into a new neighborhood. Do you live in like an area that has an HOA?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that's really what happened. Last year, Russell Wilson was on property that didn't have an HOA. Now he's got an HOA.
I like that.
Everyone's like, oh, well, the HOA, they can't do anything. They don't have any teeth. But you know what Coach Payton did? He got some teeth because he got Stidham. He's like, oh, you don't like the rules in place? Well, I got to Stidham.
So you think that Stidham's pushing him? You really think that?
Absolutely. Well, and they'll be nice to Russell Wilson in the sense that he's a veteran, he's a Super Bowl winner. They don't want to, tarnish him, but they're going to be like, "Oh, things aren't working out. How's your hamstring feeling?" "Oh, it's fine." "Oh, that looks a little tight. Let's go have the trainers take a look at that. You were hobbling. I know you're 35 or 35 this season, so maybe you're just hobbling because, all the things." They're going to be like, "Hey, go get that hammy checked out. Maybe you got to sit for a few weeks."
We'll see.
100%. He's in the hot seat. Stidham is the teeth of the HOA, and Sean Payton's the enforcer. He's like, he's willing to make the trigger and go, "Hey, Russell." Because so then here's the question: have the Broncos been setting Russell Wilson up for success with how they've developed the team around him this year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they got 3 good running backs. They've spent a lot of money on the offensive line in the offseason.
Who's the offensive threat right now? Or if you're a defensive coordinator going against the Broncos, how are we gonna stop this guy?
Courtland Sutton,
who hasn't caught a touchdown pass in
Jeudy being hurt hurts them because I really think he was ready, and I still think he can have a breakout year. But I think Courtland Sutton, I think Mims is going to be good for him. I think he's going to come through. I think their tight ends are going to be strong for him. And I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to run the ball probably. I bet it's probably 60-40 run pass.
Wow, that much?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's going to be that way. I think McGlinchey, the right tackle, is better at the run than he is pass blocking. And I think most offensive linemen prefer the run. They'd rather be a road grader. Yeah. And I think the Broncos offensive line has looked pretty darn good the last 2 games, getting off the ball and moving people off the ball. And, I think that's what they're going to go into this with. And I think they have some guys that can play wide receiver.
But who's the best offensive threat right now that the Broncos have? Who's Josh McDaniels going, "Ooh, if we got to take this away"? What's he trying to take away?
He's trying to, it would be Courtland Sutton. I mean, I think that's in this offense right now with who they have, it's Courtland Sutton. And then what I would do if I was playing the Broncos is I would load up the box and make them throw it because they're hurting on the, wide receiver spot. So, like I said, I think they're going to run 60-40. So load up the box, stop the run, and make him throw.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Let's see if he can do it. I still think he can do it. I still think he can be a productive quarterback. I don't think you lose everything in 1 year. I just think last year was, like I said, it was a disaster in a lot of different ways. I don't know if you watched Hard Knocks this
No,
week.
I have not. I've been trying to get through Swamp Kings.
So I watched Hard Knocks this week, and one thing I noticed, you know who's running the Jets offense? Who do you think's running the Jets offense?
Nathaniel Hackett.
No.
Oh, then it's Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is running it. If you watch Hard Knocks, you'll see that Aaron Rodgers is running that offense.
Is Hackett a good assistant quarterback?
So, and I'm not here to beg on people, but it was a disaster last year. The stuff they did was a disaster. And you could see that in the last couple games when they had a new guy take over that had been in the NFL that had some discipline. And so I just think it's going to be different. I really do. I think Peyton's a dude. I think he's got it under control. I think he likes having Russell Wilson as his quarterback, and I think he's comfortable with it. And I think you're going to see some things that you haven't seen in the preseason. And I think they're going to come out and put points on the board. And they better beat Josh McDaniels. He's on the other opposite. He's opposite end of dude for me.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys who got drafted by him. Like, what do you think of him? He goes, well, he wasn't the greatest to play for, but he gave me my opportunity in the league.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, and that's kind of hard to totally hate someone for that.
Yeah, we can get into that later. But
speaking of new opportunities, should the Broncos have made the move to get Trey Lance?
In my opinion, yes, no doubt. I said that last week. To give up a 4th-round pick for a guy who was the 2nd player picked in the draft, who's never really gotten an opportunity because of injuries and so forth, and it's only his 2nd year. He was drafted in that position because people in the NFL thought he was good enough to be drafted in that position. I don't think he's a bust. I think he's got as much of an upside as anybody in the NFL.
Well, that's high praise for a guy that just got traded for a 4th-round pick.
I get it, but I also heard the other day that when they had the 2nd pick in the draft, they traded all those picks that the coach wanted another player and the organization wanted Trey Lance.
They wanted what's the Mac Jones?
Mac Jones. I think what I heard was Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and the organization wanted Trey Lance.
You know what I think that was? Because I was thinking about that because I heard that too. And I think it's Monday morning quarterback after you get the guy that you wanted and it's not working out. It's kind of like, oh, well, I really wanted this car over here, not the one that's not working now over here.
Right. But bottom line is this, okay? The 49ers have one of the best rosters in the NFL. Because why? Because they've drafted well. Their scouts and everything else have done a great job. So you're telling me that they trade 3 first-round picks to go up to the 2nd pick in the draft and draft this kid, okay? And he was a kid, and they drafted him. They thought he was going to be special.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, he gets hurt. Okay, they didn't want to play him the first year. I think that was a great decision. The next year he's going to start. He gets hurt, major injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden he can't play, right? How do we know he can't play? You know, one of the best teams in the NFL thought he was good enough to trade 3 first-round picks and draft him 2nd. Okay, now they had another guy come in that's probably, has done a great job. Nothing against Brock Purdy. I think he's a good quarterback. But he runs the system well. He does exactly what they want him to do. They feel more comfortable. I get it. So why not take a chance on a guy that was the 2nd player picked in the draft that the number one, basically one of the best teams in the NFL thought was going to be great. It never really had a chance to get to be great. Why not take a chance and get him for a 4th-round pick?
Coach, do you put money in the market at all? You have your retirement fund?
Yeah.
Just because a stock is at its low doesn't mean you should buy it.
Yeah.
Just because something's on sale doesn't mean you should make the purchase.
I'm telling you, this kid, you don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Joe Montana or John Elway or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he still has a chance to be. He hasn't had a chance to.
What's the most dangerous word in coaching?
Potential.
Potential. It's guys get fired over potential in
professional sports. Let me ask you this. Do the Broncos have a potential franchise quarterback on their roster right now?
I mean, the closest they got is Wilson, and we want Wilson to succeed.
And he's 35.
Yeah.
So
he's probably got 3 or 4 more years to go.
Wouldn't you want to have a potential franchise quarterback that was the number 2 pick in the draft
So
in your organization right now? Sitting there?
I'm all for quarterback development, but the question then comes is like, sure, it was just a 4th round pick, which the Cowboys gave up. And I'm sure anybody would rather have a Broncos 4th round pick than a Cowboys 4th round pick, because typically we're a little bit higher in the draft.
Right.
So, but the question comes is, what is your issue? We talked about this last week. The big issue of the Broncos is what? Depth. And so what you're doing is you're sacrificing depth somewhere else, whether it's the offensive line, defensive line, corners, safeties, the linebacker core. It's like, or even the running backs, like wide receivers right now. It's like you're sacrificing another room just a little bit to have a project and potential.
Okay, so let me throw this scenario at you. Let's say the Broncos are what you say they're going to be this year. What'd you say,
6 or 7 wins? Yeah.
Okay, so let's say they're that.
Yep.
And Russell Wilson's average again. Okay, so now you have a 35.
Well, I'll take average from Russell Wilson.
Okay, so now you have a 35 or 36-year-old quarterback who's average.
Yep.
You've run 7 games. You don't have a franchise quarterback in your organization, and you're going to be drafting in the middle of the draft. Where are you?
With the 7th pick, or 7 wins, you're probably right there in that 7 to 10 range.
You're probably, I would say, probably more 10 to 15. But even if you're there, you're still not going to get the kid from Southern Cal. You're not going to get the kid from North Carolina. You're not going to get that franchise
Caleb
guy.
Williams, Drake May. But you have a chance to move up, because then what you're going is like, well, what if?
Okay, so then you have to give up more depth.
Well, yeah, but what you're saying is like, there's that potential in Trey Lance, and you're also now planning worst case scenario. And what's the worst is like, okay, you have Wilson play another year. It's like, it's going to take a few years for Sean Payton to turn the ship around. Like I should have gotten my Broncos visor so I could have like my coach's jersey. I should get like a Broncos.
I don't know. I just think if you have a chance to get a guy that's this number 2 player picked in the draft who hasn't had a real opportunity to prove himself yet. Okay. It's not like Sam Darnold went in as the number 1 player picked in the draft for the Jets. He played 2 years and wasn't very good. This kid hasn't had a chance to be good or bad. He hasn't had a chance, but somebody thought he was good enough to trade 3 first-round picks and be the 2nd player picked in the draft. But
when I bought Bitcoin for $60,000 and now it's dropped, like, it doesn't make the value any higher. The value is what it is.
But the difference is we don't know.
Well, I could sell that idea too. It's like, well, we just don't know. It's like, give him an opportunity, which I'm all for quarterback development, but I don't think the cost with what the needs of the quarterback you gave.
4th round pick is nothing. 4th round. Go back and look and see Broncos draft the last 5 years and tell me how many 4th round picks are still playing for the Broncos.
Well, that's this year. That's that with how the Broncos have been the last few years in their draft. It's probably not a fair, but like 4th round, you're getting first 3 rounds, you're expecting starters. Once you get to the 4th round, you're not expecting starters.
That's what I'm saying. So you're saying I want to have a 4th round pick so I can have depth at backup positions.
Yeah, which is a huge need for the Broncos right now, because we've been playing 4th rounders in positions of 1st rounders because we traded all those away.
Right. So you're saying let's keep our 4th rounder so we can draft a backup linebacker.
Yep.
Instead of taking a chance on a guy that might be a franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. But it was the 2nd player picked in the draft.
Yeah, but he got traded for a 4th rounder. Like the values, like
because he hasn't had a chance to prove himself.
Yeah, no. If I had the airplane sound going to crash, like what's Kramer on Mad Money? Like sell.
The 49ers did that to themselves by naming him the 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I'll take that chance. I'll take a 4th round pick for a chance.
I'll pass
okay,
I'll pass on that development project.
We'll see what happens with him. I hope the kid does well.
I think he's going to hold a clipboard in Dallas really well. I think he'll do.
Well, he will this year for sure. Yeah,
he'll do great with that. Speaking of losing organizations, though, will the Rockies end up losing 100 games? We're on pace. I don't know if you play with DraftKings or not, but when I saw we were playing the Braves for 3 games, lose. So I'm like, I just put a few dollars on each game, and it was been a profitable week because I
Yeah.
know we're going to lose.
I'm sure.
So, but will the Rockies lose 100 games this year? I mean, and at least with the pitch clock, those games are quicker.
Yeah.
And also, we're going to go around more Colorado sports. Coach Prime versus the Horned Frogs. We'll get Coach Joe's thoughts on that game coming up as well. But first, Bruton's Books is back for its second annual golf outing in efforts to aid literacy in the Denver Public Schools youth. The efforts of the foundation and the mission are to improve literacy amongst the children so that they can set them up for success. We believe that great readers make great leaders and can ultimately change the world. One page, one chapter, one book at a time. It is with your support they're able to help address accessibility to books and implement future tutoring programs. So Bruton's Books has a golf outing on September 19th at Green Valley Ranch Golf Club. It's their second annual golf classic, not their first annual. You can't have first annual. It's got to be second annual. And so I just talked to David about this last week, and they have, I think, all their sponsorships filled up, but they're still looking for more golfers. So if you're interested in golfing with Bruton's Books, helping raise money, reach out to them, brutonsbooks.org/golf for more information. So, Coach, we are going around the world of Colorado sports. Did you watch Regis versus Valor last week? Regis won 24-21.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just okay. Valor plays Pine Creek on Friday, while Regis plays Kennedy Catholic. Kennedy Catholic, I think if I'm looking it up right, is the one from Seattle, Washington area. Let's go Raiders. And then how about Cherry Creek versus Ralston Valley last week? Cherry Creek won. It was a close one, 35-9.
Yeah, Cherry Creek's they'll win it again this year. I mean, I was reading in the paper where they were talking about their offensive line, and they mentioned one guy, and he's committed to USC. They mentioned another guy, he's committed to Purdue. They mentioned another guy, I think he was committed to Iowa State.
Wow.
You're probably not going to lose when you have that. You know,
on the offensive line in a high school like that. And they're playing Legacy actually today, and Legacy lost last week to Arapahoe 31-9. So I don't think Cherry Creek's got a huge challenge in front of them today.
Yeah. No, they'll be fine. They're not going to lose. It's and Legacy will be a good program in the next couple of years. Jay Madden does a great job there. His nephew is the quarterback for Ralston Valley. Jay Madden, the coach at Legacy, his nephew, and he's a really good quarterback at Ralston Valley. And so it'll be kind of interesting to watch him throughout this year. I'm really excited to see what he can do.
Good. It's fun to watch high school sports as they get going. I know some of the guys over at Valor, so it's fun to see what they're doing. It's the same thing happened to them last year against Regis. They lost a close one, too many turnovers. It's the first game sloppiness, and they're playing a top tier team in the first game. So I give them credit for at least a challenging schedule. In the high school, you can't always control that.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of a challenging schedule, Coach, where the Coach Prime and CU are taking on last year's one of the teams in the championship game, the TCU Horned Frogs. I don't know what a Horned Frog is exactly, but the logo and the colors are cool. So last I saw, they were a 20.5-point favorite over CU and Coach Prime. What are your thoughts on the game?
I am as excited about Colorado college football as I have been in probably the last 5 to 10 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think Coach Prime is the man. I think what he's doing up there, he's a dude. I mean, again, I hear people ripping on him all the time as well. It's like, why would you rip on a guy that's changing the lives of kids for the better? And even the kids that left CU, that's kind of life sometimes. You got to be told what's true. You're not quite good enough to play here. You don't fit our culture. That's what happens in life sometimes. And hopefully those kids go on and learn from it and do great things at other places. But I just think that his messages and stuff that he sends and preaches to his kids is really important. I think it's good. I also think Jay Norvell at CSU is a dude. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great program builder. I would like to see both those schools recruit have more success recruiting our Colorado kids. I just mentioned 3 kids from Cherry Creek offensive linemen that are all committed to go out of state. And it would sure be nice if I would have said that one kid committed to CU, one kid committed to CSU, and the other kid committed to CU, or even. But
what's the best college football program in the state? Do you think Air Force is
Air
up
Force,
there?
yeah, Air Force is. Just the consistency of Air Force, the discipline of Air Force, the culture at Air Force is definitely the best college football program in Colorado. That's the other part of the three-tiered monster there is the CU, CSU, and Air Force. Love watching Air Force. If you guys have never been to an Air Force football game, go.
Oh, it's good. Great. It's a great environment.
Unbelievable. The only problem is the traffic getting in and out of there. But
right.
But I love their culture. I love what they stand for. I love their discipline. You can watch games with Air Force. You don't get pre-snap penalties. You don't get that kind of stuff. The discipline that I love. So yeah, I'm just so excited for college football. It starts tonight, right? There's a game.
Yep,
I think there's a game on tonight. So
yeah, there's some decent games on tonight. And so, what do you want to see from CU and Coach Prime? What would you see? Like they're 20-point dogs. So it's like to say, hey, I expect a W, but do you expect them? That could be a little optimistic, or at least pie in the sky. But what do you want to see out of CU? I want to see
be competitive in the game.
Yeah.
If it's a fourth quarter game and still, we're still not sure who's going to win the game, and just those kind of things from our Colorado football program. I didn't go there, but I grew up here. So I'm a big, huge Colorado, CSU, and Air Force fan. I want them all to win. I want them, and I just want to see them be competitive. I want to see a different, like I said with the Broncos, I want to see a different culture. I don't, last year you couldn't watch them. Oh, you couldn't watch them. And I want to see some guys balling out. I want to see some guys competing. I want to see them compete to the end. I want to see some continuity out there. I don't want to see pre-snap penalties. I know I harp on that a lot. But pre-snap penalties are just inexcusable. It's just crazy how much work they put into it to have a legal procedure or some stupid penalty like that. So, I want to see the discipline. I want to see the competitiveness. I want to see the winning culture.
Yeah, no, I agree with that in the sense. What I'll be curious about with CU, especially against TCU, is that CU's been great at recruiting, for better or worse terms, the skilled position players, but they don't have the guys in the trenches.
Yeah,
and that may take a year to develop. So, these guys at TCU, they know that. They're like, they don't have big guys on the defensive line. They may have fast guys, but they don't have big. So you go, well, we're just going to run it down their throat. And, who cares if they can't stop us? We're going to make them put 8-9 guys in the box, and then how football goes from there.
We'll see. We'll see if TCU can do that. I don't.
Oh yeah.
In terms of they love to throw the ball, they love to spread it out and show you how they can throw it. So I don't know if their ego will let them do that.
You know what people love to do more than throw the ball? They love to win. And the TCU does not want to lose to CU in this first game.
No.
They don't. They do not want to be Coach Prime's first victim.
No.
They do not want that. They'll let Nebraska be that in the following week. They do not want TCU to that. They've been talking this game up more than probably CU has.
Yeah. It will be interesting. It'll be fun. I'm just kind of excited. I'm not sitting there saying they're going to win the game or anything like that. I just want to see them compete. I want to see, like I said, if it's a fourth quarter game and we still have a chance, how much better is that just right there from what they were last year?
Oh, yeah. To go compete with I think TCU's nationally ranked this year. I got to check.
No, I'm sure they are. They had a great transfer portal class come in.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be a horned frog? Come on. Who doesn't?
It's a good school.
But speaking of losers, Coach Joe, the Rockies are on pace to lose 100 games. It'd be the first time they would ever lose 100 games. Will the Rockies lose 100 games?
Yes. I don't think that's really a question anymore.
Have you been to a game this year?
No.
Will you go to a game this year?
No.
What if the ticket was free?
No.
What if you lost a bet?
And I'm prefacing this, Rob, by saying I love the Rockies.
Okay.
I know some people that work in the organization. dear and clear to heart. What's really fun for me to watch, and I'm watching them more now than I did all season. They started 5 rookies the other night.
Oh yeah, they did
And
against the Braves.
They're fun to watch. Those kids they're coming up. I know some people in the minor league organization, and I know the culture down there is changing. They're teaching those guys to play hard, to win, to go after it. And you're seeing that if you watch Nolan Jones play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he hustles, he runs. He made a stupid base running mistake last night that just makes me cringe when I watch it. But they're playing hard, they're getting after it, they're making plays, they're learning, they're growing. I want to see that center fielder Brenton Doyle, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal player. They're fun to watch, and I want them to keep bringing up guys. This new guy they brought up, Goodman, that guy can rake. That guy can hit. He is a dude. So they have some guys coming up that I'm really excited about, and I'm so glad that they brought them up and they're letting them play. I didn't need to see CJ Cron play anymore. I didn't need to see those guys. I'm nothing against those guys, but they weren't our future. These guys that are coming up and playing, you start 5 rookies against the Braves, man, that's great experience for those guys. It's getting them better.
Only losing by 10 to potentially the World Series.
Yeah, I get it. But hey, I just think they're finally doing some things that are right in terms of getting those younger kids up here. Let them play. Let them see what the Braves are like. Let them see what a winning culture is. Okay, and let them get to that point. I think we're developing that in the minor leagues with the Rockies. I think the Rockies minor league people are doing a great job with that right now, and that gets me excited. It really does get me excited.
We should develop some prizes for people who comment or share our show, share this podcast out, the live stream with people. What we could do is we could have first and second place prizes, especially maybe if you pick the winner of the game or something. And what we could do is first place prize could be tickets to a Rockies game.
Yeah.
Second place prize could be 2 games at the Rockies.
Hey, it's still a great experience to go down to that field, the stadium, the way they keep that stadium nice and neat and upgrades and everything. That's still nice, but just some of the moves they've made and some of the things they do just make me.
I just think of when I hear I love what you're saying, and I agree with you. Hey, culture and effort has to matter. But when you're losing like that, it's kind of when I hear oh, they're try hard guys, they work hard, they're doing this, they're young. All I hear is hey, yeah, you should have dated her, but she's got a great personality.
Yeah, I don't think they're just try hard guys. I think these guys are guys that have some really. I think Nolan Jones is going to be phenomenal. I think Nolan Jones has a chance to be a superstar in the MLB. I think Hunter Goodman has a chance to be a superstar in the major leagues. I really do. I think those 2 guys are phenomenal. I think Brenton Doyle has a chance to win a Gold Glove as a rookie in center field. He hasn't even played there all year. I think that's how good he is. They have some guys, and they have some other guys that are waiting down in the minor leagues, and especially at AA right now, that are really good players. And I think they have a chance. They have a chance.
You love potential.
I do
love potential.
You know why? Because it's the coach's job to bring that potential to fruition. Right? I loved having kids with potential because I wanted to make them great. I wanted to make them better. I wanted to make them to reach that potential. I don't see that happening a lot around here in sports, and that bothers me. That bothers me.
But speaking
the Nuggets do it.
Yeah. Speaking of what you love, you were holding on me, Coach. You have your Coach White gear.
Yeah.
What's the deal? What's the deal? You've been holding out on me.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. It's fun. I'm doing it with TJ Schembeck down in Castle Rock, and he's made some hats and shirts and stuff that say "Win the Process" and Fear Regret, and has my logo and stuff on there. It's Coach Joe White 97 .com, or at gmail.com. You can get a hold of me, and I can get you the link to get to that website, or you can find it on my Facebook page. I have the link on there. You can get on that link and get hats and shirts. Want a hat that says "Win the Process" on it, or a hat that says "Fear Regret"? Get on there and get it, man. It's good stuff. TJ's done a good job for me.
Absolutely. Speaking of regret, have you ever played fantasy football?
I have never played that, Rob. I'm sorry.
What?
I've never gotten involved with that. I don't know why,
Well,
but I
you've heard of it. You understand the concept of
yeah,
it.
oh
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
all us nerds out here, we're like,
Yeah,
I can be a better GM than these guys.
yeah, yeah.
You
Well, I
know,
know I can.
yeah,
I've
right.
said that for years. If I was a GM of the Broncos, we would have so many rings I couldn't hold it up on my finger.
Oh yeah, I mean that's how my fantasy football league is. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm better at this than most
Oh
people,
yeah, we
even
all
though
are, right?
I was
Yeah.
the second best loser last year in my league. So, but they have punishments for the losers sometimes. Have you seen this?
I have. I heard one the other day where the loser of the league had to stand out in front of a game in a chicken suit as people were coming into the game.
Yeah, no, it's all sorts of crazy stuff. One of my favorite stories so far is the Waffle House story. Have you heard about this?
No, what happened there?
So say it's the loser. So like you may have like 8 or 10 people in the league. You
Right.
just don't want to be last. Like
Right.
I was second to last, which was like, okay, I'm runner up loser. But the loser, like in this league, what they had to do with a punishment was to go to a Waffle House for 24 hours.
They just stay there for 24 hours.
Be in the Waffle House for 24
Oh
hours.
God.
But you can knock an hour off for every waffle you eat.
Oh my God. I wouldn't mind that actually.
It's like who's paying for the waffles?
Yeah, let's go. I'll eat some waffles.
The only reason they were allowed to leave the building was, as I call it, a reversal of fortune. If you've ever been at the food eating contest and people have a reversal of fortune.
Yes.
But there's all sorts of fun punishments where, they have like the loser trophy, the Waffle House story. One of them, here's, I think maybe possibly the worst one beyond the Waffle House, is the loser for their punishment had to retake the SATs.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I did hear that one too.
Oh man, that would be brutal.
Maybe that's why I've never gotten into one of those leagues, because I'm too afraid of losing and having to do that.
So, but I traded Russell Wilson in my dynasty league. That's what I think of him. So
you just don't have any faith this year at all.
Oh, I think we're going to win 6 or 7 games. I think Sean Payton is kind of either setting up to be either going to win really well with these guys. Like they're clearing out all the bad picks, it's clearing house. It's the last year of guys that, then start getting rid of contracts. Like Russell Wilson will always be the most difficult part and all that. But I think it's a process. Like you said, trust the process. And I trust Sean Payton, and Sean Payton I trust.
Well, you got to win that process.
The process.
You can trust the process all you want, but then you have to do it and win it. You can't deviate from that process, and I think that's why I like him, because he's going to do that. I'm going to ask you this question, Rob. Okay. When is Stidham starting for the Broncos? Because it sounds like you think he's going to be starting for the Broncos at some point.
Somewhere around the bye week. They have is like week 9 bye week. Somewhere around there.
Really? You think that?
I'm not saying he's going to start the whole year, the rest of the year, but they're going to. That the idea that with my thought on Stidham with what Sean Payton has is teeth of going, we can take you out of the game. We have a reliable backup quarterback who can run our system. Okay. If you don't want to run our system, I have someone who will. And it's instead of just like, you're it, our only hope, you're the Jedi. It's like, nope, I got another one here. If you don't want to do it, I'll get somebody else.
We'll see. I think that's an interesting take. I think we'll see. But
and my hope is that Wilson has a phenomenal, successful year. I hope I have to go at the end here like, oh, we won the playoff. We're in the playoffs, coach. This is great.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's to me is like, my background in thinking that is I worked in Detroit back in 08. Do you remember what happened in Detroit in 08?
No, I just know that I've been.
I'll give you a clue. Matt Millen was the GM.
Okay.
I'll give you so that's the first clue.
Yeah.
And I remember driving around Sunday morning doing my work in Detroit and listening to sports radio, and the sports, drive-by media is going, hey, we could be 4-0 after the first quarter. We could, maybe be 5-1 after our first 6 games, and they're giving all their prognosis. I'm like, we could be, we're really good this year. 0-16.
So you were scarred.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the hometown bias.
But we're not the Lions.
We're pretty darn close right now.
No, we're not. Not
Oh,
anymore. No,
I know
not
the Lions
anymore.
are way better than us. I haven't bet.
No. We have. I heard a great story this week about Mrs. Penner.
Okay.
They did a thing, and David Bruton was part of it. They
Yeah.
did a Broncos game show night the other night.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. He told me he was going to this.
And they said that Tyler Columbus was on one of the teams. I think he was on Bruton's team. And he was talking about
that's a formidable game show team right there,
Yeah.
Bruton and Columbus.
Well, he was saying Columbus was talking about
did they call him
smart-
Dr. Did they call him Dr. Bruton?
Yeah, they were just talking about how smart Bruton was. They said we just let him answer everything because he's so dang smart.
Yeah.
But Tyler Columbus said before they started the game and stuff, he sat down and Mrs. Penner came up and just started talking to him. He goes, she just sat there for a half hour and just talked to me about how they want to bring all the alumni back, and they're embracing the history of the Broncos and the culture, and they've hired a person to be the alumni coordinator and all this other stuff. And I'm like, that's culture. And they're bringing it back. They realize what Pat Bolden built here.
Mm-hmm.
They realize that it's been gone for 5 years, and they're trying to bring it back in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're not the Lions. The Lions are still the Lions because they still have the Ford family that owns them, and the Ford family who's owned them for years, and the culture that's been there is garbage. And I say that because I'm actually a Lions fan because of Thanksgiving Day.
Okay, I can see that.
And I've always liked the Lions because of Thanksgiving Day. You could watch them and Barry Sanders and all that stuff, but they've never had a winning culture there, and it starts from the top.
I'm an empathetic Lions and Browns fan because I grew up in Northwest Ohio. Like I'm that like like when you coach baseball, like you're a baseball guy.
This makes sense to me now.
Yeah, right, a ton of sense. And so like when you coach baseball and there's that, like I'd be on your team, like, okay, Rob, okay, here, hit the ball. You're like, you can do it, Rob. Yeah. You can do it. You're like, all of a sudden I dink the ball enough to start running towards first base and the ball rolls slightly foul. And you're like, just throw them out. Just get this over with. Like, that's the type of like I know. You can hit the ball. You can do it. Like that's
now I know. Now I know why you say 6 or 7 wins.
Well, I think
You've grown up with no culture in any of those programs, any of those teams.
I'm also a Hurricane fan, so I know what winning looks like. I'm also a Duke fan in basketball. So it's like I understand the idea of winning and all that. But in like trust me, yes. Talk about every Sunday afternoon you have to watch the Browns and the Lions.
You're scarred. You're scarred for life.
Oh yeah. But no, I just think I believe in Sean Payton. I believe where we're going. But I think
you just don't think it's there yet.
I think we have rougher waters to go through still.
Okay.
We're not through the difficult part yet. And I think everybody wants to forget about the difficulty in the process. It's like, no, there's difficulty here.
I get it.
And we got to get through it. Like we're not going to all of a sudden, as you say, win 11 games. I don't think we have the guys and the depth to do it. Like I would take our starters versus most starters. But in football, it's usually about depth. That's why Alabama puts a beating to Western Kentucky. Yeah. It's because, Division I versus Division I top tier guys, they can kind of compete a little bit, like maybe not get blown out, but they can compete. But all of a sudden, the backups for Western Kentucky come in because they don't want to break all their starters against Alabama. And Alabama backups come in because they want to, it's a preseason game for them, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, all of a sudden, that's where the huge difference is. And that's what the difference, I believe, is with the Broncos and the rest of the league still, or at least the competitive part of the league, is their depth is so shallow that they can't afford that. Like I coached basketball at a small Christian school, and they had an 11-man football team at the time. Our athletes were great. Our top 10, 11 athletes, phenomenal. But we had about 18, 19 guys on the football team playing 11-man football.
Yeah.
So first half, great. Second half, the other team's got 40 guys. Their other 20 guys don't even have to be that good. Our guys are getting worn out because they're playing every snap. I'm telling the football coach at times going, like on punts or on kickoffs, I'm like, kick it out of the end zone, take the penalty if you have to kick it out of bounds. Just don't make the guys run down the field again.
Yeah, let them rest.
Go put 10 freshmen in there and the senior that can kick the ball out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Give them a break.
No, it's a good idea. I don't know. I think the Broncos' depth is getting better. Like, I think their draft this year was good. Drew Sanders. Is he a good backup middle linebacker? I think so. I think that I can't drawing a blank on his name. The safety they drafted out of Boise State's like 6'4". I think that guy's going to be really good. I'm really excited about him. So they're getting some depth. They're getting there. I'm just such a big believer, and I know I keep saying this over and over in the culture. I believe in what they're going to do. I really
believe.
do.
I think we're saying the same
You're
thing.
just saying they're not there yet.
I think we have a longer runway to get there than what a lot of people think, which I'm okay with. Like, if you ever built something, especially having to fix something that was broken when you get there, it takes time to rebuild and time to get the bad parts out and get good new parts in. And it takes time to do that, especially in the NFL, but it happens quick in the NFL compared to, like, you get a bad roster in the NBA or baseball. It takes a long time to flip that roster over because you have guaranteed contracts and a lot of other, variables in there. But in the NFL, boy, you can turn that roster over quickly.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah, and they're doing that.
Yeah.
So they're and again, that culture of getting rid of Albert O. We're not going to I was telling you this off air. Mark Schlereth showed this thing on Twitter of Albert O blocking on the goal line in the same game where he caught all those passes the other night.
Yeah.
He's blocking on the goal line, and the defensive player takes him 10 yards down the line of scrimmage into our backside guard. And Schlereth said it perfectly. He said, Sean Payton gets rid of guys like that because he's changing the culture. Effort like that is not going to work. That's a donkey effort. Yeah. And where's that guy now? He's not here.
He's playing with a Super Bowl contender, Philadelphia.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I think he's a great talent. I really do. But he didn't want to block, and he didn't want to make any. He didn't want to give any effort into blocking. So get rid of him.
Yeah,
get guys in there that want to be a dude.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Super Bowl or whatever's parting thoughts here, Coach, as we wrap this up. Do you have anything any closing thoughts?
Great weekend. Again, let's go back to CU. Can't wait for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning or Saturday morning. I already got it penciled in. It's going to be fun to watch. Not really expecting necessarily a win, but I am expecting CU to be competitive. I'm very excited to watch CSU this year. I think he's turning around. I think he's a great coach, and I always like to watch Air Force. And you know what? I also like to watch, I don't know if people know this, but Colorado School of Mines is a great football program.
I can't wait to work for one of them one day. They're really smart.
They're amazing. My son went there for a year and got a master's degree, but they're amazing players, amazing student athletes, but they were second in the country last year. And they're on TV Saturday, I believe. I think they're on TV on Channel 2. That's a good football team to watch. Their quarterback's really good. They have really fun offense to watch. And again, they're kind of like Air Force, high character kids with a lot of discipline and so forth. They're just a fun team to watch. So if you have a chance, go out and watch Colorado School of Mines play this year. I guarantee it won't disappoint you.
You know what I'll be watching this weekend, Coach, along with some football? The U.S. Open.
I forgot you're a tennis dude.
I'm a tennis nerd.
I forgot about that.
I was thinking about this for you this week. So I was watching the first round. It was Djokovic, who's arguably the best player ever, but at least one of the top players. If he's been number one for a long time, and him and Alcaraz go back and forth with their points and who's number one. But he beat this Frenchman, Alexander Muller, I think is how you say it. 6-0, 6-2, 6-3. He beat him pretty handily in tennis terms. I mean, it's like the comparison. It's like watching the number one seed in the NCAA tournament beat a team by 40 in the first round, or watching Alabama beat someone by 70. In tennis equivalents, that's close to what it was. But here's what I was thinking when I was watching this, Coach, and it's similar with football teams, especially in college. Is like, here's the one or two guy in the world against a guy that his ranking at the time was 84th in the world, which is pretty good. If you're top 100 at something in the world,
that's amazing.
You're pretty good. And so you have teams like Bowling. I think Bowling Green's actually supposed to be pretty good this year. Or Toledo, where I'm from. It's like these mid-major programs where if you actually pulled out all the rankings, it'd probably be that 84th or something like that in the country at times. and then they go play teams like Ohio State,
Yeah.
and then they go get beat. The top few versus the rest is just so amazing in talent difference. Where Djokovic is out there, even kind of like giving the guy a thumbs up when he makes a really good shot against him. Like, hey, he's trying to even be encouraging and being a good sport because he knows he's going to beat him outside of some unforeseen circumstances. I mean, so I just think it's so amazing that, like, here's Mueller, this guy 84th ranked in the world, could probably walk into any tennis club in the world and probably beat most anybody pretty handily that walks in the door.
Yeah. And Djokovic is that much better than him.
That much better than him.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
I just think that's amazing.
Those are great athletes and they're great competitors. I do want to see Coco. Is it Coco Graf?
Coco Gauff. Yeah,
I want her to win. I want her to win.
I watched her play her first round match. That was fun. Like she's a good player. Yeah,
she's a good player and she stands for the right things and stuff. I want her to win. It would be fun to watch her win. Next week, maybe we can talk a little bit about this. You keep bringing up college football.
Yep.
And some of those big programs playing those smaller programs. I want people to take a look this week at Georgia's schedule.
Oh, yeah? What do they got?
It's not good. It's pretty simple. And I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time with coaching.
Like Michigan. Have you seen Michigan's schedule this year?
Yeah. And last year. Michigan's schedule last year. I have a really hard time with that. I'm like, what are you trying to do? I always wanted to play the best because I think iron sharpens iron, and I want my kids to compete. I want my kids to compete against the best. That's what they're going to do in life. And I see some of these programs now, Michigan's and Georgia's and stuff, and the schedules they're putting together is just pathetic. And I'm like,
well, I would say
it's not right.
Traditionally in the SEC, they would expect a harder SEC schedule.
I get it, but
they have in their non-SEC, it's like UAB, Ball State, and whoever UT Martin is.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's nothing.
That's brutal. It's not fun for us as a fan.
I wouldn't expect. Kentucky's traditionally not great. Vanderbilt's traditionally not great in their conference. Florida, I would expect better, but they're not ranked this year. They're playing tonight, though, so we'll see how good they are.
Oh, that's the Utah game. That's right. I can't wait for that. You got me all fired up now.
Yes. Missouri, traditionally not a good SEC team. Ole Miss, I would say an average SEC team. Then Tennessee, I would say a better traditional SEC team. And then Georgia Tech, which is hit or miss again. Average.
That's Georgia's schedule, right?
That's Georgia's schedule.
Yeah, so they're not playing Alabama. They're not,
Yeah.
You look at that schedule. They're in the national championship game.
Oh, they should be. But the tough
who's
thing
going to beat him on that schedule? Tennessee has a chance because it's at Tennessee. I might actually get to go to that game, but it's at Tennessee. So that Tennessee has a chance to beat him in that game, and they might beat him because they haven't played anybody up to that game.
Well, Michigan and their
theirs is worse.
Yeah, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and then they get into like Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, Michigan State. Purdue. Their toughest ones are Penn State in early November, then Maryland, then Ohio State to wrap the year up.
Right.
So what's tough is like both conferences traditionally, like I would expect Purdue to be decent. I expect Michigan State to be decent. I don't expect Indiana or Minnesota or Nebraska to be decent. So that's the tough part in these conferences. But like I would like them to see, like, instead of scheduling like East Carolina and UNLV teams that are traditionally not good, like, because like these games are usually 3-4 years out when they schedule these off.
Yeah, and I get it, but you're still scheduling Bowling Green. You're still scheduling 3 years out. You're still scheduling a mid-major.
Oh yeah.
It's early in the season. How would you like to watch Michigan play Washington next week? That'd be a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
But now we're going to watch Michigan play UNLV. No one's going to watch that. That's not college football. It's not. And that haves and haves not, I get it. It's so.
Who's Ohio State playing this year? Okay, you got me going, Coach. Sorry, derailed.
No, it's
okay. They got Indiana. They got Notre Dame. That's their toughest conference game.
Michigan got out of the Notre Dame game, and Ohio State went into the Notre Dame game.
I think it's rotating. Because of what they're doing. Because Notre Dame has to play 5 ACC games every year.
Yeah.
So, but Coach, it's been fun. We'll talk next week. on the homework assignment for next week, Coach. We're diving deep into Raiders week in our prediction, and I'm going to get overall stat predictions from you about the Broncos. How many points are we going to score as a season? Where are those points going to come from? How's the defense going to look? And where is it going to come from? So I'm going to ask you those questions next week, Coach, and I'm looking forward to it.
Got to go beat Josh McD for the Raiders. We got to go beat him. We can't allow him to beat us again, ever.
Yeah, we're going to dive deep into that and see what happens, see what the numbers look like. Looking forward to it, Coach.
All right, I am too. Thanks, Rob. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.